Hello, fellow trailblazers. Welcome to another episode on My Money Adventures podcast. If you are new here, my name is Tukiso TK Ntebe, also known as the Finance Bachelor. On this show, we talk everything finances, well-being, and wealth creation. Remember that you can also listen to this episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And do not forget to leave a review or a comment letting us know how this show has impacted your relationship with your money and your finances. Now, in today's episode, I get to speak to two amazing guests about how cross-border transactions will be changing effective September 2024 and how this will impact you as a trailblazer and a consumer. Now, be sure to grab your notebook, stay tuned, and listen to this conversation because you do not want to miss out. So let's start with the first guest and let's get the show rolling. That is Scott.
Good morning, Finance Bachelor.
Finance Bachelor, I love that.
Yes.
Finance Bachelor, how are you feeling today?
It's good to be here.
I'm happy to host you on my
feeling
platform.
good.
You're feeling good.
Yes.
7 o'clock in the morning, you're energized, you're feeling good, you feel
yes.
ready. Okay. So for people who do not know you, maybe let's start with introductions. Omang, and what would you want the Trailblazer community to know?
Okay, the simple one. My name is Moteti Squati from Central Bank of Lesotho. At the bank, I'm responsible for oversight of payment system. This includes ensuring that the payment system is safe and efficient in the country and regionally.
Safe and secure.
Safe and secure.
I love that. Okay, so as is tradition for everybody that comes to this podcast, I'm going to ask you a question that you did not anticipate. What's your relationship with your money? If your bank account could speak, what would it say?
It will say, I hardly go to the bank.
I hardly go to the bank.
I purely rely on my digital channels.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
So even my personal banker don't even know me. We do talk sometimes
via email.
If for one reason or another there comes money that is unexpected into my account, she will call or just send an email and I'll just say what this is about. But I hardly go to the bank.
So you basically live the efficiency. I don't need to be in the bank physically because technology and payments are
I live in
seamless.
this era.
Digital era.
Yes.
I love that.
Of course, there are other things that I do on the side. Like I'm a small farmer. So those things that still needs me to go to his bank once in a while.
Well, I'm like,
once in a while. But otherwise, I'm a digital person.
You're a digital person and you embrace technology and
I embrace technology.
All the amazing solutions.
Yeah.
Okay, so the banking industry is constantly changing. New developments every now and then. Maybe let's start with you painting a picture of what's happening in the regulatory environment within the CMA region, within Lesotho and globally, just to set the picture, to set the scene on now, what is actually happening currently and what the regulators, couple central banks are facing.
Okay, so the payment landscape is regularly changing, particularly if you look at the digitization or fintech revolution. It's mainly having an impact on the payment systems mainly. So as overseers, we have to adapt to ensure that we are able to update our regulatory framework to meet the increasing changes in the space. But historically, as you would know that the Common Monetary Area, the CMA, consists or comprises of 4 countries: Namibia, Lesotho, Eswatini, and South Africa. This block is common in a sense that all this country uses rand along their domestic currencies. So other than that, we have the payment systems that are unique to this region. But one unique feature about this region is that most of the banks operate in four of these countries. So you find one bank in South Africa, you also find that bank mainly in the other ELN countries. To the extent that traditionally you would have seen that cross-border payments are generally treated as domestic transactions, because basically you're talking to the same banks, even interbank from one bank to another. transactions are also treated as domestic transaction. Just to paint a picture, if you take a bank locally, which would have branches across the country, one branch in Kuti, Mogotlong, and so forth, you would see that as you transact within that bank, within the branches, the transacting is actually seamless. Yes. But even as you send money from one bank domestically to another bank, it takes short time. It's pretty much fast.
Sure.
So this has been the case really in the CMA country. This is different to when you send money abroad. Say if you send money to UK or from UK to Lesotho, you find that it takes a few days because it goes through quite a number of channels. A lot of correspondent banks are involved in the process. And there are other aspects that are actually looked at, issues of anti-money laundering and terrorism financing and other aspects. So normally it takes time because of that. So now you would have seen that recently there's been these issues around elevation of AML issues. And countries, even in the CMA countries, have been assessed. It's a sort of a peer review kind of arrangement.
Yes.
Where they assess whether they meet international standards. And most of us now have been assessed. South Africa was assessed, Lesotho has been assessed, Namibia is due for assessment, and Eswatini. But mainly you find that we are more or less under close monitoring, or what otherwise would be known as grey listing. Yeah. So because of that, there's been some changes that we needed to implement as a regulator in the region. Now, in this CMA block, we have what we call Cross-Border Payments Oversight Committee. It's a committee comprising of the payments regulators from all the central banks in the CMA. So they literally look after, they do what we call cooperative oversight. We cooperate to oversee the region. So we have noted that there are some issues that relates to the payment system that we needed to deal with. And the issue is the issue that I have talked to, actually, where cross-border payments are being treated as domestic transactions. So we needed to actually deal with that and address that. And one good thing about this arrangement is that it was quite efficient in a sense that it was less costly, it was quicker to do transaction in this area. Now, as we need to rectify this to move from that element of treating cross-border payments as domestic transactions, two issues then now come into question. The first one is the cost of these transactions across the border.
I'm also thinking cost.
Yes. The speed, efficiency of this transaction, how quick. Today, if you go into an app, do a transaction to any bank in South Africa, it's quick. It's near real time. So we want to ensure that at least to a higher degree, we maintain that speed. We keep the costs at affordable prices. However, it is worth noting that even as we do that, indeed, there will be some changes on the cost. Maybe the speed will not be as good as we know it, but we are working hard to ensure that the experience really is not that bad. But maybe what does the change entail, and why are we talking about it? One, I want to make it clear that probably the change may not even be so visible to the consumer.
Okay.
In a sense that behind the scenes, the banks are actually changing the channels that were being used to route these transactions from domestically or from the region, and they're moving into other channels. The most common channels that, at least that we know now, is the SADC RTGS and the TSIP. I will talk about that if time allows, but maybe my colleague will also dive into that and in terms of how they're dealing with that. So that's the change. But the change that will be visible to the consumer is actually on the applications that they use, whether it's a app or the internet banking, in a sense that there will be some additional information that is required. So we think it's important to know that as you transact, you would see that now will be required to put some information, probably that information that you did not really put in the past. For instance, issues of where you stay, why are you doing this transaction. If you are paying fees in South Africa, you have to specify payment for school fees to this university of this address and so forth. So now that additional information would be required.
Just a quick one on that additional information. So if I'm paying school fees, would I just need to narrate that I'm paying school fees, or do I have to provide evidence or a document to support what I'm saying? So I'm a university of whatever. Would I then need to just type it into the transaction as I'm initiating it? Or would I need to upload another document, be it a copy of my tuition fees, or whatever?
The different banks have implemented this differently. You know, we are innovative in different ways. But to answer your question, not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, all you need to do is to be able to specify that I'm paying fees. University of Free State is a non-university. It has a bank. It banks with a certain bank. So you find that even on the other side, it's already verified. And to the extent that you find that in some cases, some of these payees, you will just actually select from a drop down, and then this additional information would be populated depending on the. So maybe you are just paying some unknown small business. You still need to specify that additional information.
Okay.
But the issues of the proof, it depends on the size of the transactions as well, because there are limits. We classify transactions as either retail or high value. In the context of the CMA, the high value transaction is anything above 5 million.
Okay.
So if you are going to do a 5 million transaction from Lesotho to South Africa or to Namibia, I mean, you can imagine it will not be treated as 500 maluti. So there's a need to say more information. Yes. Because we want to be sure that we know what that payment is for, and the sources of funds, it's not related to any unwanted things. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm imagining how about the physical address as well. In Lesotho, unlike the other CMA countries, traditionally we would say Tukiso stays Would I still need to do that?
That is still acceptable. But in one, because there's the other information which is quite important. For instance, traditionally, when you open an account, you provide your ID, and actually the information about you is already known. It's already known because you would have specified Kidula Malaining and Tatimamang. So that information is already there. So you find that in actual fact, you may not even be typing it every time you do the transaction, depending on the bank, of course. So it's not really a major change.
Okay.
It's not a major change, but we think it's important for the customer to actually know and appreciate. But I'm saying it's not a major change, and maybe I'm understating it. Indeed, it's a major change, particularly to the banks. But we have also noted that as we do this change for your credits is where you actually send money to someone, or someone is sending money from South Africa. We seem to have fully under control. We seem to understand how this is going to happen. We still seem to have some gray areas in as far as collections are concerned, or the debits, mainly the collections in a way. Common ones, insurance premiums. People have insurance with firms in SA and elsewhere, and these firms are regularly collecting premiums. And this seems like in some cases, for instance, we have seen some insurance providers from South Africa sending communication to some local clients to say, beyond September, make arrangements of how you're going to pay for your insurance, because we'll no longer be able to collect. So that's worrying. We are dealing with that. We are having engagements at the bankers association level, but we are also roping in other regulators such as insurance regulators to try to see if we can how we can normalize this. Yeah.
It's interesting because one of the messages I received yesterday was somebody saying, what happens to my debit orders? How does that work? And when I read the regulations about the press statement as well, it says that those insurance companies need to open bank accounts locally. So, for example, Insurance X needs to come open an account in Lesotho so that people who have debit orders with that particular organization can literally just pay from this side. The insurance company collects this side and then transmits the money that side. How is, like you mentioned, the challenge? Are they being compliant to those requirements? Kapo, are they just bullying us because we're a smaller market?
Yeah, that's maybe I need to start with that because it's also a business decision to come and open shop in Lesotho. But there are various ways of doing it. Yeah, one way is to open a bank account with the domestic bank where that account can be used to collect these premiums. Other ways would be to, for instance, to appoint a domestic agent, whether it's a broker or insurance, to actually collect on behalf of another insurance company elsewhere. So those are the options that we see taking place. But some of these companies seem to have maybe a smaller portfolio of clients, and they feel like it's not worth the trouble of transitioning. So, and in a way, they are putting the responsibility on the customer to find ways of ensuring that they continue to pay this. Yeah. So that's an issue. But the banks have actually come to the party to say, even with that, as a client of the bank, if it comes to this, we would actually ensure that you are able to actually pay from your domestic account regularly into that account. You can have in your account where you actually say that every month do this payment.
Yes, like a scheduled payment.
Yeah, scheduled payments, kind of, yes. So there are lots of innovations around that. But clearly, I think it would seem there will be some casualties as far as the collections are concerned. The size and the impact, we are still trying to understand that, and indeed time is not on our side.
Sure.
Yeah. So maybe I needed to highlight that, but we are really working day and night to see if this can be resolved.
Okay. I think ahead of September 2024, a lot of people still feel like they're unsure what needs to happen. So how do we allay, from a regulatory point of view, how do we allay the fears to say that September is not, you're not going to lose your money is not going to disappear? What do we say to Basotho who watch this show, trailblazers who watch this show in Lesotho and out of Lesotho, who are Basotho?
Yes, Basotho and non-Basotho, whenever you are, whether in the CMA, particularly in the CMA, you'll continue to be able to send money. You will be able to continue to receive money from the other countries. I think that's what is important. We want to give assurance that the banking system, which is a backbone of the payment system indeed, would continue to be able to process your payments across the CMA countries. What is changing is that we had one channel which was very common that we called CMA EFT that is being sunset. So that's illegal. But it doesn't really mean that people won't be able to transact. So that assurance that they will be still able to transact. I know, as we listen, the queries that we get now are mainly around the insurance. So that's also where we are trying to zoom and talk to that. And that's why I was saying we are also trying to engage insurance regulators and other regulators, such as your financial intelligence regulators, intelligence unit. These are people around AML and CFT. Why are we engaging these people? We want to achieve that goal of ensuring that prices are affordable. One of the things that make the higher cost of transactions relates to AML. So now we want to apply a risk-based approach to say for transaction of a lower value, don't really do this comprehensive stop gate, stop go, and those kind of things. Yeah. So those discussions are really bearing fruit. We've talked to SADC RTS operator to give a special pricing for these transactions, and it seems like we are succeeding in that regard. So ultimately, there will be some price adjustments, but not unreasonable ones. The speed may not be as good as we know it, but rest assured that your transaction will be done within a day as we know it.
All right.
Yes.
I think for the first half of this conversation, let's leave it there. Before we move on to the second part of the practical aspect of application of the cross-border transactions.
I'm good, and I'm happy you have given us an opportunity to engage your audience.
Thank
you. For me, it's the first one that we've done. We've done a lot of interviews on TV and other platforms, but we're happy to.
This is the best.
This is the best. This is the best. But also to be talking to TK on a relaxed environment.
No, that is good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's good to have you. And if people need to ask more questions, are they able to reach out to the Central Bank of Lesotho directly, or how do they contact?
Yeah, but particularly to this issue, Bankers Association, it would be the best, because these are banking issues.
Sure.
But if there are other issues that are specific, on our social media platforms, the Central Bank website, Twitter or X.
Yeah. You are very digital.
We are able to engage there as well, but for also the old school customers
who can just do a walk-in,
they can also do a call, the normal numbers of the Central Bank. We have a consumer protection department that deals with market contact issues, where customers are not happy or where they want to understand certain things.
Okay. Yeah. Also, I'll obviously also link all that information in the show notes below. So thank you very much, Ndeskwati. We will definitely be in touch again, and it's been great talking to you too.
Keep safe. Now
keep safe.
There's this monkeypox and all that. I hope we won't be working from home once again, but keep safe.
Keep safe. Stay safe, and obviously stay tuned for the second half of this conversation. Remember that this episode is brought to you by the Bankers Association of Lesotho, where we are talking how cross-border transactions will be changing effective September 2024 and how that will impact you as a consumer. Now, remember, there are slight minor cost implications, but I don't think they'll be that big. But as a finance bachelor, I always say costs are very important, so we need to keep track of all of those. So stay tuned. We'll be back shortly. Thank you.
Welcome to TKO Financial Wellness and Advisory, where we confront the reality of the financial stresses that often come with your daily grind. The struggle is real. Employees are investing an additional 13 to 20 hours each month, not only in their professional roles, but also grappling with financial concerns. According to a 2023 study by Nedbank, a mere 51% are effectively navigating these financial challenges. In the face of this predicament, we gladly stand beside you as your unwavering partner, recognizing that 62% of South African employees are turning to debt without a safety net. We understand the importance of addressing this issue. Your workforce is the cornerstone of your success, and we are committed to alleviating financial burdens through our innovative programs. Consider us your financial allies, making your financial goals our continued priority. Did you know that over 40% of employed Basotho earn less than 2,500 per month and often make uninformed financial decisions? Join us and we will help you navigate the complexities of managing finances. Imagine tailored financial solutions and transformative educational programs designed to eradicate financial uncertainty. We aren't just consultants, we are dedicated partners accompanying you on your journey to financial freedom. TKO Financial Wellness, where your success is our decisive victory.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the conversation where we are talking everything cross-border transactions and how they impact you as a trailblazer, but also as a consumer operating within Lesotho and abroad, well, within the CMA region. So in this second half, I get to speak to a representative of the Bankers Association to talk us through how and what is going to change and how those are going to impact you. So Ndedekwat, welcome to My Money Adventures podcast.
Thank you, TK.
So I love to start with introductions because not about who are you and what do you want the trailblazer community to know about you?
I'm sure Nalabanti All right, thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. So my name is Samuel Kwatla. So I represent Bankers Association of Lesotho. So basically, we come together as banks to ensure that matters that are generally the responsibility of all banks, all commercial banks, are handled in a manner that really protects and provides the services to the consumer as expected and as regulated. So I sit here, not as, obviously I come from one of the commercial banks, but I sit here as a rep of Bankers Association of Lesotho.
Yes. I'll come back to the Bankers Association of Lesotho, but I want to ask you, if your bank account could speak today, and if I was to look into your bank account, what would it say to you?
The first thing it will say, I'm afraid to say, yay, what's this? Because this money is just coming in and going out the next day. And I know you always, and you watch your shows, you always say, guys, think about how you use your money. We try by all means. We succeed 1 month, the next month, stuff happens and we just lose the trend. But I think it will really say, I'm trying. I'm not succeeding. I'm trying.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
And I think Hangata people think because we work within the financial services industry that we are ordinarily good at managing money. Is that the case? Kapa, what are your views on that?
So finance management as your area of specialty is different from banking. Those are totally different things. So we bankers, and as bankers, we facilitate transactions that really assist clients to manage their finances. So yes, there is legs and departments within banks that really help and advise clients on how to better manage your finances. But practically what we do is banking. And then we're now expanding and stretching towards helping clients to better manage their finances. So bankers are bankers. we still, on the 10th, the money is all gone.
It's all gone.
It's
quite interesting because there's one study by one of the South African banks that showed that from payday, money literally lasts 5 days in the bank account, then it's gone. So it's quite scary. Okay, how to work our Bankers Association that you are representing? Who are the members of Bankers Association? Because I don't think a lot of people know about Bankers Association and who the participating members are.
Yeah.
So maybe let's start there.
Okay, so Bankers Association is in Lesotho is made up of 4 commercial banks. So we have Standard Lesotho Bank, we have First National Bank Lesotho, we have National Net Bank Lesotho, and we have Post Bank Lesotho. So those are the 4 members that really make the Bankers Association of Lesotho. Yeah.
So a lot of people are thinking September is coming. There's also a lot of dates within September. There's the 9th of September and the 14th of September. What happens on both those dates from a cross-border transaction perspective?
Yeah. So thanks, TK. So let me start it from the end. So by the 30th of September, the commercial banks, as regulated and as directed by the Central Bank of Lesotho, in Lesotho as well as in other CMA countries, should have done all the changes that help them to comply as they facilitate these transactions within the CMA. So the 30th of September is a cutoff date. But then as Lesotho, and I think generally across other CMA countries, we have put these 2 days that you touched on. The first one is the 9th of September, where we're going to make changes relating to debits. So as explained earlier, debits are where our clients, Basotho, have made arrangements with entities outside Lesotho that on a particular day, deduct a particular amount from my account directly and bring it over to your side. So we will be doing changes on these debits on the 9th of September.
Okay.
Now, the other set then is on the 14th of September, which deals with credits. Credits, like I said, is money coming into your account or a transaction that we need you initiate personally that want to pay someone across Lesotho border, South Africa, and Namibia, this particular amount you initiate. So those changes will then kick in from the 14th of September.
Okay. So if I understand correctly, on the 9th, everything that has to do with debits, which are collections from insurance or asset investments, will be impacted. And then the 14th will be money that's coming into my account or money that I'm sending that's been received by a family member in any of the CMA countries.
Absolutely.
Okay. So talk us through about the local. I think people are also thinking cross-border payments, but what's happening locally? Is it business as usual where I'm sending money from my account locally to your local account, or is that affected in one shape or form with these changes that are happening?
Okay. So sending money locally within Lesotho, this particular change will not impact that at all. So this is primarily on cross-border payments. And I said all the payments that are below 5 million.
5 million.
Yeah, 5 million to 5 million rand. So that's where the impact is going to be. But as to the normal local or domestic payments, there won't be any change.
There won't be any changes.
Yes.
Okay, I like that. So from a CMA point of view, now I have to provide a bit more information. What are some of the requirements customers need to provide when they are making payments from Lesotho to the CMA countries, or people who are receiving money outside of Lesotho into Lesotho?
Yeah. So before I even touch on some of those additional data requirements, the rationale really is to ensure that we can identify a transaction as to who's the sender and who's the recipient. And we have information as regulated about who the sender is, who the recipient is, and what is the purpose of this particular payment. And these are really the requirements around the KYC, know your customer requirements firstly. There's also the CMA requirements on AML, anti-money laundering, and where we're trying to combat this financing of terror. So these are the requirements. This is the critical reason why this change is happening. And this really pushes and requires the banks to require more information from clients as they do these transactions. And as said, we also need to identify clearly the region from which this transaction emanates, or the region that it goes to. So it as it stands currently, these are transactions that are not very much detailed, because when TK sends money to me, is really what's the recipient account number, how much do you want to pay, please state what the reason is, and it's done. But we really not saying where is Samuel Opata staying, why are you paying this, all that.
What are you paying him for?
What are you paying for? All those other requirements. So these are some of the requirements that as clients log into the digital channels and as clients walk into the branches to send money abroad will be required. Further details or more details on the sender, more details on the recipient, and more details on the reasons of the transaction. Yes. So this may vary slightly from bank to bank, but generally that is the gist of what will be required.
Okay. So there are Basotho who are working in the CMA countries who get paid their salaries into the Lesotho accounts.
Yes.
So TK is working in Namibia, or TK is working in Eswatini or South Africa, but I still get paid my salary into Lesotho. How does this change impact me as a Mosotho working in the CMA countries? Absolutely.
So the first thing to say, TK and your viewers and listeners, is those kind of transactions will still be possible. So we want to clarify that, because there's also saying out there that those won't be possible. Those will still be possible. And like we said, there will just be requirement from, let me say, your employer to give more information about himself and yourself and the reason behind the transaction, so that we can then be able to comply with the requirements. So those will still be possible. what we really want to advise TK in this case, working in financial service A in Eswatini, is please have engagements with your employer, as soon as now. Provide that information, that additional information. Let the employer capture the information into a system that initiates these payments, so that you don't get your transactions rejected or delayed because there is lack of information. But the bottom line is those transactions will still be facilitated and possible with the requirement of additional information.
Talking about delays, are there going to be delays in terms of payments? So, for example, I used to do a transfer from my Lesotho account with any of the members of the Bankers Association of Lesotho to a bank in SA or Namibia, and it will be instant. So what are there going to be delays in terms of the transactions clearing and the recipient receiving the funds? Or what are the implications in that regard?
Okay. So a critical change in this credits or sending or receiving of money is that we would want the recipient on the other side to identify that indeed I expected this money from TK. So obviously we also are cognizant of regular payments, for instance, school fee payments to tertiaries. We would not really want the tertiary institution for every transaction that comes into the account to go in and say, this is the fee from TK, I know TK, this is the fee from CMA, I know. No. So those arrangements will be made that we know this account, we know what it's used for, therefore we'll allow these transactions to come in. But once-off payments from you to me, 4.5 million once-off payment, then
it's a red flag.
Exactly. The recipient bank will receive and will contact me. That's why we need that additional information to say, we see this particular transaction, please come to the bank, or please explain this on the phone, and then the transaction will be released. So those are some of the delays that will be experienced. But we are committed to continuous improvement. So we will start, and we're going to try to make sure that we don't create friction as we start. But as we move forward, we'll still continue and try to make sure that the transactability is seamless and really gives that experience that we are giving right now to
the customers. I love the seamless and focus on the experience. So a lot of Basotho are always complaining about fees. I've seen on social media across the different 4 banks, fees. It's expensive to transact. How likely is this going to impact the pricing and the costs of transacting for Basotho who are transacting, doing cross-border transactions?
So it's going to impact Basotho. There is going to be changes on the pricing of these transactions. Really at the back of the new method that will be used by banks to facilitate these transactions in a compliant manner. So really that comes with a cost. And like I said, the other legs of processing that will be introduced comes with a cost. So those are really the drivers. But we're working together with, as Bankers Association of Lesotho, we're working together with the regulator and other regulators to say, can we negotiate pricing that really is not harmful to but it's available. And we really are winning. Indeed, it's not what we would want otherwise want, which is the same cost of transactions as Basotho have gotten accustomed to. But there's going to be an increase, but a reasonable increase, I must say. This will vary from bank to bank. Because really it's also issues of competition, which really we don't discuss. But the base price and as going to be charged by the facilitators we get, and then each bank then has
the uniqueness.
Yes.
It's interesting how the banks can work together but still compete in a healthy way. So a big shout out to the Bankers Association. So for customers who want more information, or they need more clarity, or have any questions that they need to speak to, how do they go about that?
Okay, thanks, TK. So let me just add one point, which is very critical around the debits, and that is what you also touched on it. So we want clients to be aware that the direct debits, and I'll reiterate the message at the risk of repeating, the direct debits that are currently allowed will be stopped. And the other requirement that we have as commercial banks from the regulator is we need to provide options to clients. So you need to choose, TK, if you want to use financial service A or B, option A or B, you need to have that choice. So we say into clients that the current method of debits, direct debits, will be stopped in September. Customers have an option of then initiating these transactions and scheduling them themselves. So that is one option. Secondly, we're saying you can go and open an account in any CMA country, because the agreement also allows citizens of the CMAs to have accounts in all these 4 countries. You can go and open that account if you find it fit, but now you also now bring in the requirement to manage that account as well. So that is the other option, and pay from that account. And the third option that we're also pushing is for these collectors to now come in and have accounts with us so that they can connect domestically and then send that money around. So we try to bring all those options. We're not trying to sway customers into one direction. No, we are not allowed to do that. We are required to give options. So I wanted to put that forward.
I think I like that, and thank you for bringing it up, because it then says to customers and trailblazers who watch the show that you still have a responsibility on your part to make sure that your affairs are taken care of. So I'm thinking, listening to this conversation, if I know my debit order is collected at the 15th of every month, the 20th of every month, I can literally on my side, on my bank account, schedule a payment, which is a cross-border payment that has to comply with all those things. Absolutely. For me, that's the easiest solution here. I know I have a debit order to investment company A, to insurance company A in this part of the CMA region. I can do a scheduled payment weekly, and then it automatically goes through.
100%.
Yeah, I like that.
100%. And we really want to say to clients, please talk to your insurance company if that is where you pay your premiums to. Or about your account number, because those are some of the queries that we are sure to get, and it will create a risk. Now your policy lapses because now you're paying, but you're paying into a wrong account. And the insurance company is not picking that you're paying. So we really want to say, get this information right. The current solution really was easier because it was initiated by the insurance company as an example, then debiting directly into your account. But if you choose an option of now creating those scheduled payments, make sure that the information is correct.
The account is correct, exactly. And the reference is also correct.
Absolutely.
So it's very important for you as a trailblazer to make sure that your insurance policies or your investments do not lapse, or your account is in bad conduct, because that's also a responsibility to manage your account correctly. Absolutely. Okay, so where do people go to if they want to speak to about any issues relating to cross-border payments or receipts?
Thanks, TK. So all the 4 banks have a number that clients can call, and we have all tried to make sure that some of those are even toll-free, so you can call and you'll get the information. There are clients who also have relationships managers. Talk to your relationship manager. We try by all means to make sure that this information is readily available to the client servicing team so that they can respond to queries. We also then are present in social media and all the banks, including the BAL website. This information will be provided. And if anyone wants to walk into a branch, which is our old method of banking, you can walk into any branch of all the 4 banks, in the queries or the inquiries, or any other person that you want to talk to within the branch will give you this information, and we'll also refer you to the right person in a case of need. So we're ready to communicate, we're ready to cross over to the new method, and we want clients to support us as we move to this new method.
I like that. Any closing remarks as we wrap up this particular episode?
So we really want to thank you for having BAL here, TK. Every change is uncomfortable if we don't have information. So information, I think, it melts our resistance to change for the valid reason or invalid reasons. This is a regulatory requirement. We are a regulated entity. We have to move ahead and comply. But as we comply, we need to make sure that the customers do not feel a negative impact. We try to arrest and contain the impact. And part of that is having engagements with the likes of you, where you then share with everyone else what the change is going to be. And we really appreciate that. We know that the show is really watched, and a person can play and replay again on your sites, on your site and availability channels. So we really appreciate that. And to the viewers and listeners, please share this. Send it, download it on your phones and your mobile devices. Share with everyone so that when the change hits, at least we have the information how we move along. And we really thank you.
Fantastic. So you've been listening to another episode on My Money Adventures podcast. This episode was proudly brought to you by the Bankers Association of Lesotho. So when we are speaking about cross-border transactions that are changing, this episode was really loaded with nuggets of wisdom and knowledge to help you transition smoothly and embrace the change. So do not forget to like, leave a comment below, and share this episode with other trailblazers who will definitely benefit from it, so that they too have access to the information. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel, because we are trying to build and grow the community of trailblazers. For more information, do visit our financial education website, www.mymoneyadventures.com, and follow us on all social media platforms. Until the next video, leave a comment below, and I will make sure that the Bankers Association addresses some of those questions if I'm unable to respond to them. And of course, until the next video, guys, love, peace, and happiness. A big shout out to my creative team behind the camera, and of course, my audio sound engineer. I won't mention them for this particular episode, but you know who they are. So until the next video, guys, love, peace, happiness. Remember that money is an adventure. I'll see you in the next one. Enjoy that ride. Cheers.